Hello, this is Dave Hurwitz at ClassicsToday.com here with a musical fable, the story of how I made my Helsinki Philharmonic debut. It all had to do with this recording, which has recently been reissued. I can't call this talk a review. This has to be a chat because I'm on this disc. It's called Earquake, the loudest classical music of all time. This was the brainchild of my friend in Germany, Herr Dr. Sören Meyer-Eller, and myself, because we thought that there was just a lot of really exciting music out there that wasn't getting recorded and that it would make a fun collection to sort of challenge all of that head-banging heavy metal stuff that was happening in the 90s or early 2000s. I don't know, whenever it was that we did this. It was a couple of decades ago. But the bottom line is we found a lot of what we thought was really interesting repertoire. I mean, we have on this disc, just so you give you an idea of it, Howard Hanson's Sixth Symphony. These are, excerpts usually, or movements, not complete works. But Ture Rangström's Invocatio, I think that's his Fourth Symphony. Of course, a bit of the Scythian Suite. Let's see. From the Night of the Mayas by Revueltas. The Aladdin Suite by Nielsen, the Malambo from Estancia by Hinastera, Schulhoff's Weapon Dance from Ogallala, the last movement of William Bolcom's Fifth Symphony, Machine, Iber's Bacchanal, the War Dance, by Respighi from Belka's Queen of Sheba. I'm looking at this, my memory is just of this whole thing was so fond of putting these things together, The Can from Shostakovich's ballet, the Golden Age. And finally, last but not least, Hekla by John Leifs. And frankly, this is still the best performance out there of Hekla. I am not ashamed to say so. Now, Hekla, as you all know, is a volcano. And John Leifs' specialty was writing natural disaster music. He did Geyser, he did Hefis, which was drift ice, and he did about 4 or 5 of these pieces. And the climax and culmination of them was Hekla. There's also a volcanic eruption at the end of his dance drama thing, Baldur. But this was his big one. This was really his big one. It was actually premiered in Finland and played like once or twice, and that was it. And then nobody bothered with it again because it requires, among other things, an enormous orchestra with an organ, a huge chorus, and 22 percussionists. And some of the things those percussionists have to play, aside from cannons and gunshots going off, you also are supposed to hit a selection of volcanic rocks with hammers that actually come from Hekla itself. You're supposed to go on some mountaineering expedition when it's not erupting, if it's safe, and grab some Hekla stones and of various sizes so that you could use them in performing the work. Actually, rocks hit with hammers do not make the most effective instruments, but it was the thought that counted. And also there is a part for anvils. Now, 2 anvils, a large anvil and a small anvil, actually. Now, it just so happened that on the day of the recording session, I was in Helsinki. I was invited as a guest of Ondine Records and its general director, Reijo Kiilunen, an absolutely terrific, imaginative guy who built up the label into a wonderful, wonderful independent label. And I was there. And originally, the program was given as a concert. Leif Segerstam, the conductor, who was just amazingly talented guy and lots of fun, and he was game and willing to do it, and got all the music together, and he interspersed it with, on the disc too, some quieter pieces so that you have a moment to rest your brain. And we got an aerobic dance soloist to come and jump up and down to some of the pieces. And we did it as a sort of musical happening, and it was just tremendous fun. And then we had to record everything. So we had actual concert experience before we did the recording. On the day of the recording, however, it just so happened that the opera was playing Salome that night, Strauss's Salome, which required 9 percussionists. And since Hekla required 22, they basically used up all of the available percussionists in Helsinki that day. And I happened to be sitting there in the audience, and there was nobody to play the anvils. So they corralled me in, and I went back there, and I figured, well, what the hell, how difficult could an anvil part be anyway? There are only two of them. Well, that was my mistake, because I look in there and the entrance has these two anvils in rapid 30-second notes going, it's all syncopated, and I was horrified. But I somehow managed to do it, and I was able to make my Helsinki Philharmonic debut on this recording of Hekla on Earquake. It was a wonderful experience that I'll never forget, and I don't have to forget it because I can play it and I can hear myself clanking away at the end of the piece. And you can too if you want to listen to it. But of course, I can't tell you to buy it because I'm on it and I have a personal interest. I have no financial interest in this, by the way. I was always a volunteer. So you're not going to fund my pension by purchasing the disc. But if you want to hear some really fun, loud, noisy, a collection of, I think entertaining and imaginatively chosen repertoire, very well played, well recorded, and something to really annoy your neighbors, you might want to give it some thought. So thank you for letting me tell you this little story, and keep on listening.